Youngkin will join us in just a moment here on the show. But first, we wanted to go, as we always do, and for good reason, to Brit Hume. He is Fox News' senior political analyst. He joins us now. Brit, thanks so much for coming on. Last night, as you were assessing what might happen in this race, you said if McAuliffe loses, this is a massive story. Do you still feel that way, and if so, how big?
Oh, yeah, I do, Tucker. It was obviously a broadly based protest vote against what Democrats see going on in Washington. And it was also a very well-engineered campaign by candidate Youngkin himself, who positioned himself as an obvious alternative, as a completely acceptable alternative to the Democrat McAuliffe, one who did not seem an extremist. He didn't seem a Trumpist. He didn't carry any of the baggage that can hold Republicans back. And the voters said, okay, and they accepted him. And huge upset, one that was not forecast until only recent days. Very skillful campaign by a novice candidate. Big hill to climb, he climbed it.
What's interesting, though, is that he didn't run on tax cuts. I think that was a feature of his platform. But he ran on what we are told are the divisive social issues, critical race theory, what our kids are taught. I mean, he went right to the things that people talk about on social media, and he won on that. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells you one thing, and that is that there's an argument about this whole question of critical race theory in this particular political race. And on one side, and you're hearing it, I heard it all day today, I saw it everywhere. The critical race is not taught in Virginia schools. Critical race theory is not taught in Virginia schools. The AP and the NBC are saying it. It's being said everywhere on the left. In fact, however, there is ample evidence that critical race theory very much influences and is injected into what is being taught in those schools. And these parents knew that. They came to know it. It may have had something to do with the kids being at home during the pandemic and the kids getting the parents getting a closer look at what their kids were learning. But that was out there, and the parents were right, and Youngkin was right, and the left and Terry McAuliffe and the rest of them were wrong on the facts, and as a result, people weren't going to vote for somebody who didn't think there was a problem. Well, exactly. Youngkin did. So that's where that comes out. And of course, you have people on the left and some, shin pullers saying, well, it was the Republicans who injected race into this election. Baloney. Yeah. The critical race theory itself injects race into the lives of our school children. It should never have any influence, let alone being taught. Now people say, you could say technically, Tucker, it's not being taught in the sense that, volumes have been written on critical race theory, and it's not been handed out as a textbook. But its influence and its tenets are in those schools.
I've never figured out what critical race theory is, to be totally honest, after a year of talking about it. They're teaching that some races are morally superior to others, that some are inherently sinful and some are inherently saintly, and that's immoral to teach that because it's wrong. That would be my view. Well, and I think most voters' view.
What's also wrong about it, Tucker, is that it rests on this idea that racism and racial discrimination